Welcome to Sports Talk Today. I'm your host, Anthony Sorbellini. The Baltimore Ravens have quickly turned into one of the hottest teams in the National Football League, and some believe they could even make a deep playoff run. After convincing wins over the Seattle Seahawks, Green Bay Packers, and New England Patriots, quarterback Lamar Jackson is now an MVP candidate. With more on the surging Ravens, we bring in NFL analyst Troy Moriello. Troy, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Troy, so Ravens fans want to know, based off the season so far and how the Ravens have basically started going on a tear, should Ravens fans be gearing up for a possible Super Bowl run?
Well, they've looked very impressive over the last 3 weeks. Like you mentioned, some of these wins that they've had, especially yesterday against the Houston Texans, they dismantled the Texans. They shut down Deshaun Watson, the Texans' dynamic quarterback. And then a few weeks ago, dominating the New England Patriots, who are really the perennial contenders in the AFC playoff picture. I think that it's really going to come down to if they can get home field advantage in the AFC playoffs, because I think that if they can get the Patriots or they can get the Texans or even the Chiefs at home in Baltimore, they're in good shape. But if they have to go on the road to Foxborough, as we all know, that can be a house of horrors for some teams.
Well, right. Any team going into Foxborough, especially in the playoffs, is going to have difficulties. Now, you brought up the Chiefs. They also did have a loss. I believe it was in Kansas City. Mm-hmm. How, moving forward, do they kind of right that wrong and losing to the Chiefs? But the Chiefs have looked very vulnerable, especially losing to the Colts and the Texans. But how can the Ravens keep moving forward?
Absolutely, and I think that the big change from that game was the Chiefs now have Marcus Peters in their secondary. They've made a trade a couple weeks after that game, I believe, to acquire Marcus Peters, and their defense has never looked back. I think that the one thing that was holding the Ravens back early on in the season was their defense. Their defense was a little bit shaky in some early games against the Seahawks, against the Chiefs. They've really stepped up now in the last couple of weeks and have shut down teams. We saw them shut down the Patriots, and we saw them shut down the Texans yesterday as well. So I think the defense.
What's more of a bigger threat, their offense led by Lamar Jackson, who has pretty much come out of nowhere, where many NFL critics and even writers, draft analysis, would saying like he's going to be a bust, or is it their defense, or is it a combination of the two?
I think it's still more their offense a little bit. That offense is so dynamic, especially when Lamar Jackson can get his passing game going, because you know what he can do as a runner.
Right.
You know, he's one of he's easily the best running quarterback in the NFL today. You couple that with a very talented running back in Mark Ingram as well, and they have a lot of talent on the offensive end of the ball. So I think that it's their offense that is really the more scary thing for opposing teams.
There you have it, Troy. Thanks for having us. I'm Anthony Sorbellini, and when we come back, we'll talk more Indianapolis Colts football.